Hi. So I wanted to do another video on something specific, and that is the use of some Western drum rudiments in Taiko. And so I've picked out some specific examples, and then I'll demonstrate how I think you might apply them. But before I get into that, I wanted to basically go through the elements of Western drumming. There are 5 articulations: accent, ghost note, flam, diddle or double, buzz or press roll. And so we have some of these in Taiko. You know, an accent might be like dong, kong, right? Ghost note would be suku. Flam is hitting both hands together at a slightly, with a slight separation between the 2 beats. A diddle is a double stroke, which is what we're going to do some work on a diddle today. And then the buzz press roll, which we'll talk about, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. So the 4 rudiments that I want to try to work on and demonstrate are the paradiddle, 5-stroke roll, 9-stroke roll, and the drag. So those are standard Western drumming rudiments. If you're curious about them, there are 40 of them. You could go to the Percussive Art Society, download a PDF file with all 40 of them, and they're numbered. So for example, the stroke roll, 5-stroke roll they have down on here is number 7. 9-stroke roll is number 10. So you could look them up on this list. So check out Percussive Art Society. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the 5 elements. So what are they? An accent beat, just like in Taiko, big, firm beat, right? Ghost note, suku suku. So the way you would apply that in Taiko is like a don-su, a kon-su, or a doro-suku, or tere-suku. So that would be the accent ghost note. Flam, there's a right-handed flam, there's a left-handed flam. Depends on which hand gets dropped first as the ghost and which hand is the dominant strike. So that's the left hand flam. And then there's the diddle, which is what I want to talk about mostly today, which is a double stroke. And the diddle is 1 arm wrist action and a second beat coming from the rebound of your stick. So right-handed diddle, left-handed diddle, right-handed, left-handed. So it's important that the diddle not be 2 motions like this from your arm or your wrist. It's important that the stick comes up and then goes down. Slow diddle, right, fast diddle. Right. So if you're curious about that technique, I recommend looking up the Moeller technique, and in particular Jim Chapin, who was a drum clinician, very good technical player, demonstrates the double strokes, triple strokes, and has a lot of videos out talking about the Moeller technique. And then the last one, the buzz, right, which you'll hear in a lot of symphonic playing. Press roll, also referred to as a press roll. And sometimes you'll hear the buzz described as actually a 3-beat stroke. Sped up, right? Turns into that buzz roll, which is really used by symphonic players. Okay, so let's get through in the list of the 4 that I have noted down: paradiddle, 5-stroke, 9-stroke, and drag. What are they? So paradiddle, sticking, starting with a right-handed paradiddle, right, left, right, right, left hand, right. And the word paradiddle is actually like kuchishowa, so paradiddle is the double stroke, right? Paradiddle, 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 right? And the important thing about the diddle is that you try to get that bounce in your stroke and not 2 beats this way. Okay, so paradiddle. 5-stroke roll. Diddle, diddle, hit. Right? Right-handed 5-stroke. left-handed. Right, diddle, diddle, hit, diddle, diddle, hit. 9-stroke roll, just add two more diddles. Right, diddle, 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 hit, hit. Okay, so the 4 beats are diddles, right? I'm sorry, the 4 times 2, 8. Last beat is a hit, right? And then the drag, which it's a diddle and a hit, right? So drag, diddle, hit, diddle, hit. Okay. So those are the 4, and then we'll talk about how you might apply them. And I think actually let's start with playing Kane. Now this isn't something that a lot of groups do. I happen to do this with the group that I'm in, Tatsumaki Taiko. We put our Kane on a holder, on a stand, and play them with bachi. A little untraditional. Most people play them with a shimoku, right, with one hand on with a stick, the shimoku, right. But there is also what they call the tetsuzutsu, which is or canon, right, which has 2 pitches and a center, sort of indefinite metallic sound, and you could apply these rudiments on that as well as on the Kane, right. So if you were playing Kane, right, how could you use a paradiddle? Well, the way I'm going to demonstrate this today is what I call the Matsuri-ji. The Matsuri-ji. Ten, teke, ten, ten, chi, chong, 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 right? So let's just say you play a couple of Matsuri beats, and then you put a paradiddle in. Okay, there's a paradiddle in the middle of a pair of Matsuri beats, right? Matsuri-ji beats. 5-stroke roll. Okay, diddle hit, 5-stroke roll. Now what you have to remember is on the 5-stroke and the 9-stroke, the hit of the last beat of the roll is your 10 of the ten teke 10-10 Matsuri rhythm. Right, 9-stroke roll. Five-stroke roll. Okay. Of course, I did all right-handed 5 strokes. You could do left-handed or 5 or 9. Remember, if you do a left-handed, the last hit is your ten teke 10-10. Right. Okay. So you're actually reversing the 10 of the ten teke 10-10, but that's fine as long as you are aware that that's where the primary beat of the Matsuri rhythm starts, which is your last beat, whether it's your right hand or your left hand. And then finally, the drag, right? Diddle hit, okay? If you put that in a Matsuri beat, so why bother with any of this? Well, I think those ad-libs give a certain inflection because of the sticking involved and the diddles. So I think they sound different than straight sticking some of the beats. The other thing about the double strokes is this really has to do with moving your hand or holding one hand on one Kane, another hand on the other Kane. Okay, so that would be an example of how you could maybe apply it into your playing. You could also apply that same kind of technique between 2 different taiko. So if you had kept one hand on, let's say, a shime and the other hand on a taiko, and you just played a paradiddle between the 2 of them, right, you get those kind of sounds, which are really interesting. 5-stroke roll, 9-stroke roll, drag. It doesn't matter which of the rudiments of the 4 that I chose to demonstrate. You could use any of them playing between 2 taiko as well. So there's some ideas for people out there. Expand your playing a little bit. I especially think for those of you who play kane or tetsuzutsu, this could be really handy, and it could really help to jazz up your playing. Because remember, when you're the kane player, you have to be rock solid. You're basically the timekeeper for the group, but you also don't want to sound like a robot. So you need to have some things to throw in there, you know, to liven it up, jazz it up, make it more interesting to the listener and the group that you're playing with. So try these out, and I think I'll do another video down the road of a couple other rudiments, and talk about how you might apply them to other instruments besides the kane.